Hey there and welcome. Today we're going to get started and talk a little bit about how to use templates in Word. And so we've been talking a little bit about how to make your own documents, and that is a really useful tool when you're using Microsoft Word or any Microsoft product for that matter. But one thing that can be really helpful when you have kind of a big project in mind, or maybe you just need some inspiration and don't know where to get started, or you're trying to figure out how to make your own template, is to look through what Word has already provided for you. And right now, I have my screen shared, and what we're looking at are the opening screen for Microsoft Word. And this is the same thing you would see if you went to File and then New. And it brings up all of these different possibilities for you. And right now my mouse is hovered over the blank document. Over here is a single-spaced version. So if you wanted to get started with a document and you didn't want to reformat it so that your spacing was all single-spaced without those lines in between your paragraphs, this would be one that you'd want to use. And you can see that I like this one so much I've pinned it to the top of my list. And that's something that you can do to kind of organize this and get yourself started depending on what you want. And it can be kind of overwhelming if you have something that you're really crunched on time to get started with. So what I would recommend, and this really goes for any program on the computer that you're hoping to use, is pick a time when you don't actually have a goal, something that's stressing you out, where you can just go in and all you want to do is just explore and see what's available for you so that you have these ideas in the back of your head to use the next time that you're on here. So pick a day and just explore everything that Word has to offer, and the templates are a great place to kind of check all this out. So looking through all of this, you can see it lists a bunch right off the bat. There's this blank one, and that's typically what we use when we get started for the first time. That original document that's empty and you just start typing away. But there's all these other ones. And you can see this one that I've pinned, this one that I've actually created myself, and then a variety from Word based on things that I've used before. The very first one is called Take a Tour, and this is actually a tutorial that Word has built into itself to kind of guide you through all of the features it has to offer. This is another way to kind of familiarize yourself with what Microsoft Word has that you can use. And so then we see these resumes and this calendar and some cover letters, just different pre-formatted documents that you can use. And not all of these will apply to what you want. There'll be things that you may want to change, things that you want to switch up, and we'll go over how to do that once we open one of these up. But you can see if we scroll down, there's all different kinds. There's these brochures and certificates and invitations. And this is where things like address labels and birthday cards and different kinds of stationery live too. You can see up at the top here, these are featured. Under personal, it shows ones that I've personally made. You can see I have done this tutorial before and I've shown how to make some custom address labels, and because I love puppies, they have puppies on them. This is one that I've made that is just kind of a template for a report that we've worked on before, and we'll go into that. But anything that you save will live here. And there's a special trick when you save it to make it appear here that we'll go into. So be ready for that. Up here, you can see a search bar, and we have some different suggestions across the top. Business, cards, flyers, letters. You can search anything you want. These are just the suggestions. So let's say you're trying to put together a holiday newsletter. So maybe you type newsletter. Let's see what comes up. It'll take a minute to search and then it'll go through everything it has, and you can see there's all kinds of colorful flyers that appear. And this is similar to things that you might see in other programs like Publisher or Canva, different software that makes designs. And even if you don't see anything that you specifically want to use, you might get some inspiration on how you want to lay out your own. This is helpful if you're kind of having that writer's block of sorts from a design perspective. And you can specify your search too. You can see there's all different categories over here. The most are under just newsletter category, but some are under Christmas and holiday. And let's look at those real quick. Here's holiday. Okay, perfect. So let's say you're doing your holiday newsletter and you see, oh, this is pretty. It's got some pictures, it's got a title, it's got a space where I can give updates for folks. So you can click on this and see a little bit more about it. It brings up a slightly bigger profile picture of it, like a little preview, and it gives you some information, the size of the document, and depending on what kind of document it is, it'll also say what kind of paper you have to print it on. That's important if you're doing address labels. So here, if we wanted to make this one, all we'd have to do is hit create here. So when I hit create, it opens a new document, just like it would if I was making a new document. It would bring up a blank sheet. It brings up this pre-populated sheet. And you can see it's got a background and some images and a little bit of space for the text. And it also has a backside too. In this case, it's just a continuation of the letter, and they've replicated the pictures, but you get the idea that you can switch it around. And now how do you do that, you might ask? So one thing that you can do is go in and change the text, and you'd do this just like you would with any other type of document. So you'd go in and you'd click, and you can see they've put in brackets the part that they expect you to change, specifically in this title up here. So the holiday newsletter year. Okay, well, you would put in, well, 2021, and you can see it kept the same formatting from the rest of that text box throughout what I just typed here. And I can change that. This isn't always going to be the case for templates that you use, but it will allow me to make that bigger. Now, where did that number go? It's just a little too small of a box now, so if we stretch it out, there we go. We can see it pretty well. And notice there's some columns going on. As I move this, it's going to change the formatting of the pictures. So do be careful, because if you're using someone else's template, it's going to be formatted in a way that you may not be familiar with. And once again, it'll take some time just to kind of play around and tweak the features and see what exactly you can change and what affects what as you're typing. So, okay, maybe you want to change the name of the family. Let's say perhaps this is the Myers family. Bloop. And maybe you want to change some of these pictures. That one's a little bit trickier because they're already kind of preset into the document. They've already been placed and they have all of this formatting applied to them. If I go to the Format tab, you can see that it has some of these different features, and if I click these, it changes things quite a bit. So if we want to keep the same formatting, the best way to do that is to bring in your picture and then apply the formatting to that new picture and then delete the old one. And you may be asking, well, that seems like a lot of steps. Why would I do that? And the reason being is it's a lot easier to copy formatting than it is to try to figure it out on your own. So let's say, once again, because I am a dog lover, I don't have a human baby to have pictures of in my newsletter, but instead I want a picture of a puppy. Well, normally I'd probably use my own picture. I don't have any saved on this computer, so I've gone to insert online pictures. And so here I'm going to type in Sheltie puppy. Bloop. Let's see what happens. Now it gives me all sorts of pictures. They are adorable and wonderful, and I think I'm going to use this little guy. We'll insert him. So I just clicked on the picture and hit insert. Now you can see it's huge. It has completely blown up the document. So we want to change that. And how we do that is by changing the formatting. There's a really handy tool called the Format Painter, and we've talked about it before, and it can typically be used to change text. Now, it also can be used to change pictures. So now I'm clicking on the picture of that baby photo. I'm going to go to the Home tab up here. And see under Clipboard, there's an option that says Format Painter. I've selected the item that I want to copy the format from. Now I'm going to click that Format Painter, and now when I click this picture of the puppy, it's going to apply that formatting. Now it didn't change everything. All it did was it gave it the border that I wanted from back here. And now we're going to do the other tweaks to make it match. So I'm clicking on this picture, the one of the baby, And I'm going to go under that Format tab, and you can see up here we've got a height and a width. It's about 3 inches across and 2 inches tall. So we're going to do the same thing to the Sheltie picture. I'm going to go to that width, and I'm going to type in 3. Hit enter. Boom. Okay, a lot has already changed. Where did that picture go? Oh, it's up there. So now I can see a little bit more about how this document's laid out. What they've done is they've created these 2 columns. They've created a column for pictures and a column for text. And these pictures are going to keep going down the page. And so if I were to delete this photo now, I'm guessing that this picture might hop up onto the page. Let's take a peek. Now that we've got the Sheltie picture the right size and format correctly, let's hit delete. Okay, nothing happened. I'm going to hit delete one more time. And remember, delete backspace goes kind of back across your font. So it's going backwards from right to left. Delete goes left to right. So I'm deleting things that are ahead. So if there's any extra spaces or enters, that's what I'm getting rid of as I hit the delete key. Well, nothing's happening. So maybe something changed. Let's take a peek. What I'm going to do is I'm going to look at one of these other pictures and see what else has happened to its formatting. I'm going to look specifically at its position and its text wrap options. So under position, it looks like it doesn't really have anything set up. That means it's probably in line with the text. And sure enough, this is the option that's blue. So that means that's the one it's selected, in line with text. So it's treated like a text character itself. So if I click outside of that little picture and try to hit the little back arrows, that's the first thing in the line and it won't really let me change it. So what if I wanted to add another picture here, below this little puppy to kind of fill that empty space? Well, what I can do is, since this has the same formatting as that other picture, it will also say in line with text. So I can click on the picture and click my little right arrow, and that puts my cursor right after it. I'm going to hit the enter key to create a new line. And now I'm going to insert my next picture. So now I'm going to put in my next little puppy picture. Another fun breed would probably be a little border collie puppy. I don't know why I'm such a fan of collies, but I am. And now you have to live with it. So, oh my goodness, that one is cute. That needs to be in here. So I'm going to hit insert. And you might notice this picture is a little bit wider too. And I maybe don't want that whole width of the picture. It's a little bit smaller, but we're going to change it again. We'll make this 3 inches. And notice how it automatically changes the height too, to kind of make it match. What I'm going to do next is apply that border formatting. So remember, we're going to click on the one with the correct formatting, go to Home, click Format Painter, select the new picture. Boop, now he's got a border for the border collie. And now we have the second picture. And so we could do this all the way through. If we wanted these to match exactly in size, something that we could do is, so right now the thing that's different is obviously the height. I'm going to look, the format on this one tells me it's 2.25. I'll change this to 2.25. Notice it changes that aspect ratio. So what I'll do is I'll crop it now so that they match. So I'll take a little off the side. So I just clicked crop, took a little off the edge. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. This is another place where it can be helpful to have your ruler up, which I do here. And if you forgot how to change that, that's living under your view options and ruler. So there we go. Now you can see I've just about got it about the size as the picture above. You can see it says 2.83. I'm going to click that crop again. It's a little bit narrower, but that's okay. If I want to open it back up again, all I have to do is stretch it back out. And instead of stretching it, I'm really just trimming the edges, and you can do that until it looks just the way you want. And so that's a really basic way of changing a pre-existing template. You can change the font if you want, but usually the idea is they've already kind of found things that look right together. There's just certain fonts that match a little bit better than others. You wouldn't necessarily want wingdings with Times New Roman. That would be weird. but you can always change it up a little too. So maybe you want Times New Roman. There you go. All you got to do is change it. Now different templates will be a little bit different about that. I'm going to show you this next one that works a little bit differently, but for the most part, they're pretty user-friendly to let you update. And just explore with it. If you ever, find that you've made some changes that you don't like, you can always undo them and save different versions as you go. So to undo, you'd go up here, and maybe you want to go back several steps. You can click this little drop down, and you can see all the different changes I made, from cropping to applying the object formatting to going back to the formatting from before. So that's one way to undo things that you've done that maybe you don't like anymore or want to try again. There's really no way you can mess it up, and that is kind of the fun thing about playing around in Word. So let's now look at the next thing. I'm going to click File, New, and hopefully it occurs. Oh no, it did the thing that I always fear it will do. Oh boy, I'm going to start this recording over again.